What's good people? It's the inspiration. Vets, let's talk. This is my first guest, first episode, Kay Hayden. Before we get started, click that subscribe button. I'm trying to reach a goal 500 by January. But anyway, Kay, two-time, what? Enlisted. So she was in the military 2 times. Former U.S. Army sergeant. Her first tour of duty, she was a mechanic, but she toured Europe in the Army band. That had to be something, huh?
It was a really great experience, yeah, for sure.
So you had to meet a lot of interesting people during your tour in the Army band. Did you ever think that you was gonna do something like that?
I didn't know that something like that actually existed in the military, so that was definitely a pleasant surprise. And I had decent vocals, so that definitely worked in my favor.
Well, what made you branch out and try? Or did somebody tell you about the audition, or did you just?
You know what? I saw a commercial actually. I was based in Germany at the time, and I saw a TV commercial where they were holding auditions for service members who had a knack for singing. And yeah, I think within a month or so, I had auditioned, made the cut, and then I made my move from. I was living in Kitzingen at the time, and then eventually I ended up in Schwetzingen, which is about 15 minutes away from Heidelberg, Germany, if any of you guys are familiar.
Wow, it's outstanding. And when you came in the second time, you was a truck driver. Now, first time you was a mechanic. The second time she was a truck. Does she look like a truck driver, y'all? But the second time you was a truck driver. And then you decided for the second time, get out of the military. What were some fears that you getting out of the military, if any?
The first time around or the second time around?
The second time.
I mean, I feel like I was a little bit older. So I wasn't as young as the first time that I got out. And at that time, I felt like the world had changed a lot too. So just concerned with how I would fit in what I considered this new world. My vocation by trade was a mechanic, but unless you decide to use that trade when you get out of the military, it is you're starting from square one, all the way down, at the bottom of your career. So I was really concerned with what my future looked like, what type of career would I fit into. It was just a lot of unknowns. Where will we live? How would I be able to use my degree? All those different things.
Right. So did you have a plan, and did it go accordingly? I guess that's 2 questions in one. Did you have a plan and did it go accordingly?
Well, my plan was to finish getting my degree, which I did. I got my degree in psychology. And the plan was to go into social work. So I started out as a social work major. And then halfway through finishing my degree, I changed it to psychology. So it didn't go according to plan, but I was still in that same vein. I knew that I wanted to do something in the field of servicing others. So social work was definitely something that I was passionate about. I think once I got into that major and start learning, a lot of the behind the scenes in terms of what I will be responsible for as, maybe a caseworker or whatever umbrella that I fell under social work. Once I started learning more about that, I could see for me, especially with dealing with my own personal issues with depression and so forth, that could probably be an issue for me later on down the road, with being triggered, working with cases that had people that were battling mental depression, or I just felt like that particular career field at that moment in time, I felt like that would be a trigger for me. And I didn't feel like it was healthy. So it didn't go according to plan. But I will say that getting my degree in psychology and minoring in social work definitely helps me in the career that I'm in now. So it all worked out. It all worked itself out.
So what was the job that you got when you got out of school?
What was it? Oh, okay. So I actually started working back on post. At this point in time, I was working on Fort Hood, in Fort Hood Family Housing, actually, as a leasing consultant. So I was helping transitioning service members find on-base housing.
That's awesome. Awesome. How many jobs have you had since you left the military?
3.
3.
So the first one was with Fort Hood Family Housing.
Right.
The second one was with I don't know how to explain it. So it was still a service related job, but it was like a contracting position through a local college. So there's that. And then of course what I do now, which is I work for myself as an entrepreneur and as a full-time wedding planner. So
what were any challenges, if any, at your job or after the military?
I mean, there are a lot of challenges. The military, you have the opportunity to be in this melting pot with different nationalities, backgrounds, different walks of life. So I did struggle there, but I think one thing that I had become accustomed to and I think worked really well for me was just having that structure in place. And once I got out of the military and started working as a civilian, it wasn't as structured. And I struggled a little bit with that because, knowing, what my day looks like and kind of having a plan of action, if you will, really helped to help me get through my days. So with being a civilian, you have a little bit more
leniency.
I would say flexibility with your day, which is not a bad thing. I think it just depends on the individual.
Right.
But for me, I really thrive with structure, which is why I went into business for myself, because I can kind of create a process for myself that I can depend on, and it helps me get through my days. So for some people, they like the excitement of maybe having something new and fresh every day, whereas for me, I'm a little bit more of a type of person that likes consistency in my days.
So you said something about your business, like Hayden and Co. events.
Hayden and Co. events.
So you're a wedding planner now. What made you think of that as like your purpose, something that you like yearn to do? Something is just that thing was just calling you. What made you venture off into that?
I just started thinking about something that going into career field that made more sense for me. Again, having the consistency and me understanding that I really do well with organization, managing my time well. So things like that really played a part into me going into the career field as a wedding planner. And then of course, my own experience with you, when we got married, we didn't have a wedding planner.
We were married? Oh my God, this is my wife.
I was waiting for him to mention it.
I was gonna mention it at the end with closer. But yeah, this is my wife.
We didn't have a wedding planner, and it was very stressful. In the military town, didn't have a lot of family, didn't have a lot of friends to support us through that process. Just help us to navigate the waters of the planning process. We never planned a wedding before. That was our first time getting married. And so having that experience and then coupling that with me being organized and loving to manage my time and things like that, I just feel like that all
tied into.
Yeah, it kind of, yeah, I just thought what better way than to jump into something where I can offer a couple a sense of, I don't know what the word is, but just being able to help them navigate the waters, giving them advice, helping them to save if that's their overall goal, or allocating their budget appropriately. Just someone that knows the ropes and that can give them a sense of calm and provide them with stress-free planning process.
Right. So being former military, do you think the military helped you better navigate certain things as far as direction, as far as where to go and what to do, on how to handle paperwork and how to stay to, like, military is built on policy, right?
Mhm.
So would you say following certain structures, because you talked about that a lot, because you're used to a certain type of level of dealing with things throughout your day. Like the military, you get up in the morning, you do PT, and then you perform your job. And then at the end of business, which is when you're about to leave, you kind of give a after actions review, which is something like you're telling what went on throughout that day. So would you say being in the military better helped you perform as a business person?
Sure. Yeah. Again, going back to the structure, um, being consistent. In the military, they always encourage you, if you don't know the answer, don't say you don't say that you don't know the answer, but that you are going to find the answer. And so that definitely comes in handy with being a wedding planner, because things are ever changing in this industry. Nothing stays the same. And so we're always having to learn, always having to keep ourselves fresh on our toes, if you will. So yeah, absolutely.
So, okay, what would you say to somebody either getting out of the military or already out of the military? What would you better like inform them how to navigate like such a down economy? Like, how would you tell them to like stay inspired? Because you know it's a lot of fears, because you're coming from such like I'm gonna say a structured paycheck, with certain things are just set. So you're just getting out and things are just pretty much unknown.
Two major things I would say is start saving before you get out of the military, just so that you can have a little bit of cushion when you ETS. And then that gives you the time to, once you get out, just to breathe a little bit, and kind of get yourself in order without the pressures of, I got to find that next job to bring in the income. So I would say maybe save about 6 months minimum to about a year's worth of income. And then also, before you ETS, take that time that they provide you for ACAPing, take full advantage of it. I think it depends on either, how much time you've done in the military. I think for those who do maybe one, one tour, 2 to 3 years, they don't really, I won't say see the importance, but maybe they don't take full advantage of that ACAPing process,
Right.
versus someone who's been in for 20 plus years, because they literally have been out of the civilian game for a while. So
I didn't
things
take
have
advantage of
changed,
it.
so they're a little bit more attentive, to taking advantages of the courses that they offer, the resume writing, I think seminars, things like that. I feel like those who have had more time in the military, a little bit more maybe attuned to want to take advantage of that. But I would say either way, whether you've done 2 to 3 years or 20 plus years, take the time that they provide you for ACAP to do just that. Ask the questions. Go in and be ready to receive information. Don't go through it as you would, and I hate to say this, in the military, they used to PowerPoint us to death. And so your eyes start, when you go into certain meetings that should be, or that are supposed to be informative, you sometimes tend to tune out because you get so much of it in a day or, throughout the week. But during that time, just make sure that being, you're being proactive, and you are going in there with an intent of coming up with a more solid game plan than what you left with.
That is amazing. You guys heard it first here from Kay Hayden from Hayden and Co Events. Hayden and Co Events.
Hayden and Co Events.
Check the description for her email, just in case you guys want to go out there and, tie that knot.
Jesus help us.
Hey, planning is key for success. Always check what you do, when you do, and how you do it. Move forward into things that you need to do in life, because there's always a purpose for who you are. This is Vets Let's Talk. It's the inspiration. Talk to you later.